Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're looking at the Premier League, more specifically London, and even more specifically West Ham. They've been overperforming over the last couple of seasons, becoming one of those standout teams that does actually finally make it from mid-table to the Europa League last season and maybe even further this season. We're going to be looking at the squad they have in FIFA, what tactics you should play if you want to try and recreate the way that Moyes plays, and try and give you a little bit of an introduction into why West Ham would be a good FIFA save for you on FIFA 22. So let's get started with the tactics. Most recently, West Ham have been playing a 4-2-3-1. They'll have Fabianski in goal, Ogbonna and Zuma as two of the centre-backs, Kufal right back, Cresswell left back, Rice and Soucek as the two pivots in midfield, Fornals or Benrahma on the left, and then the other one of Fornals and Benrahma in the middle. Up front, of course, Mikel Antonio, who absolutely started this season on fire. The David Moyes style of play has never really focused around attractive football, but instead very strong, determined, sort of defensive football, but I suppose you could say more tenacious rather than defensive, where you have to be more aggressive to win the ball up high up the pitch. The defensive line is a disciplined, compact unit where everyone is sort of almost within touching distance of each other, defending narrow. And you can see the midfield and the defence really do try and make it also quite compact. Your defensive midfielders play quite deep. The wingers sort of stay out wide, where the attacking midfielder also has to come back. And you'll see that they try and focus the play out wide because they're confident that their centre-backs in Ogbonna and Zuma are very good in the air, so they'll be able to head away almost any chance. However, the main threat of West Ham comes on the counter-attack. While it might not be attractive possession football that everyone tries to rave around these days, instead it uses the pace, power of Bowen and Antonio, Fornals, Benrahma to carry the ball upfield, and then gives them the responsibility to finish any chances that they make. It's not only these three that get forward as well though, it's Declan Rice and Soucek, who both score a lot of goals for a Premier League defensive midfielder. It's this full team spirit, this aggression, this tenacity, as I said earlier, that does make the Hammers so lethal on attack, while also being solid on defence. So that's how they play in real life. If you want to know how to replicate in FIFA, look in the comments below, where Darth Donut probably will have done a comment, and I'll pin it when I see it, and it'll have all the tactics to replicate this on FIFA. But let's have a look at the squad now. West Ham is an unusual team where its two best players are both in the same position. Lucas Fabianski and Alphonse Areola are of course both goalkeepers. Fabianski's 36 and Areola's 28. But in a real-life Premier League matchday squad, you'll almost always see Fabianski in goal. It's not that Areola's bad, it's more that Fabianski's just a long-term servant of West Ham. He can be trusted and he is still a top goalkeeper. In FIFA, however, I probably would recommend either trying to sign Areola on a permanent deal or signing a player that you know can start for you regularly while also being younger than 36 years old in goal. With goalkeeper being such a solid position, you might think the defence is similar, and to be honest, it is. Cresswell is a really good left back, good at getting forwards, good at crossing. Masuaku, again, he's a little bit faster than Cresswell, and he's not quite as good at attacking, but he is an adequate backup player. You've also got Johnson, who has potential to be a similar level to both Cresswell and Masuaku. While none of these players individually are good enough to be Champions League level players, what they do is fit well into the tactic of being good at getting forwards, good at providing chances, and solid on defence. The centre-back situation is similar. Kurt Zouma of course did play in the Champions League for Chelsea, and Ogbonna did for Juventus a long time ago. But they're more than adequate, they've got good FIFA stats too, strength and pace isn't that bad, and with Diop having such a good future potential, you might want to start playing Diop instead of Ogbonna, just so you can get him up to your potential. Outside of these three, you have Craig Dawson and Winston Reid, who are both long-term players, both in their 30s now, so you'll probably not want to play them too much if you can get Zouma and Diop in your first 11. At right back, you have Kufal, of course, is the first choice, but you also have Fredericks, who's not actually that good at defending, but what he does have is blistering pace. He's a really good option to have on the bench. If you're playing against someone like Man City, they sub off a slow left winger, or they've got someone like Bernardo out there, and they bring on Sterling from the bench. Fredericks is the guy that you want to be able to outrun him for the rest of the match. I'd keep him around, and I wouldn't really recommend signing another right back. Similar for left back and centre back, I think you're covered in defence and goalkeeper for the long term, especially if you can either sign Areola on a full-time deal or sign a second choice goalkeeper who can come in and overtake both of them when they retire and leave at the end of the first couple of seasons. Moving forwards to central defensive midfielder, and this is really where the team shines. You've got three standout options here: Declan Rice, Thomas Soucek, and Alex Kral. Declan Rice and Soucek are of course two of the best defensive midfielders in the game. Personally, I think they're both underrated at 82 rating. I think they deserve to be sort of 84, 85 maybe. They're that good in real life. Rice does have potential to get into the high 80s, and Soucek can get to that 85 if he reaches his potential, but the other option is Alex Kral. He's got potential to not quite be as good as Soucek and Rice, but he does have better stats in my opinion. A 6'2" with good pace, good stamina, good strength, good ball control, good defending, and good attacking stats, he really could be a dominant midfielder, especially if he can get near his 83 potential. I think he'd be more effective at 83 than Declan Rice would be at 87, which is his potential, just because of that extra pace, and we all know how important that is on FIFA. Speaking of pace, the other defensive midfield and centre midfield option is Mark Noble, who has absolutely none of it. If you know anything about Mark Noble, you'll probably know that he's the player that spent the longest at one club in Europe, now that Messi's moved from Barcelona. He's been in and around the West Ham first team since around 2004, and he's played over 450 matches for the Hammers. Even at the start of last decade, when West Ham got relegated to the Championship and Mark Noble was one of the better players in the entire Premier League, he stuck around. That's how much he loves the club, and the love is reciprocated by the fans. Don't get rid of Mark Noble. If anything, make him your captain and try and give him as much time as you can in the cups. Ahead of the Rice-Soucek combination, you'll probably be playing three attacking midfielders. On the right, Bowen or Antonio is the main option. You've also got Yarmolenko, but he's not quite as good as he used to be anymore. In the middle on FIFA, you'll probably be playing Vlasic or Fornals or Lanzini, depending on what kind of style you want. Lanzini's a better dribbler, but Vlasic has more pace. Fornals is probably better suited to playing on the left, where instead you'll probably have to play either Fornals or Benrahma. Benrahma is an interesting player. He's more of an all-rounder. He's got good pace, good dribbling, and good attacking stats. So you're going to have to make sure you can juggle game time and make sure they don't get mardy or run out of max sharpness. Again, I wouldn't really recommend you sign any players here unless you see a really good deal maybe on a right midfielder. Because Fornals is good, but he doesn't have the best potential, only being able to get up to an 82. So if you can find a better left or right midfielder, absolutely go for it in this situation. I'd also probably look to offload Yarmolenko. Although he's a bit of a hero on FIFA, he's not actually that good anymore, so I wouldn't really recommend using up the quite big wage that he's on him in particular. Up front you have, again, only one real option. It's Michail Antonio. He's rapid, good at finishing, strong, good dribbler, everything you want. I've seen him in real life a lot of times because he used to play for my club, Nottingham Forest, and he was one of the most lethal players I've ever seen. He gets the ball, he runs like a steam engine, and no one wants to go near him. He just barges people out the way and then just scores a long shot. He was an absolute phenom and one of my favourite players I've ever seen play for my club. So I do recommend you use him because I do think he is an absolute complete Premier League striker that's maybe again a little bit underrated at 79 overall. Jarrod Bowen can also play here, where he used to play for Hull in the Championship, and though he's got a bit more potential than Antonio, I would probably focus his development on making him a better right midfielder rather than trying to train him to be better at striker. So where do West Ham actually need some strengthening? Striker is the obvious position, and it looks like David Moyes agrees with me because they have been linked with some good signings for January. Lacazette and Nketiah have been two of the big names that have been linked with them, and of course they're still trying to replace that flop that was Sebastian Haller when he joined for £45 million in 2019. It's not clear how much money they'll have to spend on a striker, so I can't really recommend one. If Declan Rice leaves, they could have around £150 million if they really wanted, but I doubt they'd spend it all on one striker, so you can rule out Haaland joining the Hammers. What you should expect is a player like someone like Martial or Morata, that kind of tier of maybe not the first tier or even the second tier strikers in the world, but the third tier where they're pretty good and on their day can be world class. I expect one of those to show up at West Ham. So that's the kind of striker you need to be trying to sign when you are playing this career mode. Other areas of the squad that need strengthening, and it's not really that obvious. If Declan Rice gets sold for big money, there's probably a hole at defensive midfield or centre midfield if you play that kind of formation. Centre back's pretty solid, left back's good. Right back again, Friedrichs is just pace, so he's not actually that good at defending. Maybe sign a better right back, someone like Matty Cash, for example. But other than that, the squad's pretty good. It's about enough rating for you to get to where you want to be, so you don't need to strengthen it that much. You can probably get Champions League with the squad as it starts off, and I do recommend you give this save a go. If you do, let me know in the comments below, join the Discord, send screenshots, or message me on Twitter if that's how you prefer to get in touch, because I do like hearing about you guys' career mode, and do keep in touch. So thank you for watching, subscribe if you like this video, let me know in the comments if you've got any teams you want me to talk about, give it a like if you're going to do the save. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you very soon for a different team guide or create a club guide. I'm not entirely sure what's coming out next, but you know, stick around and I'm sure you'll see it on the channel in 2 or 3 days. So thank you very much. See you soon and goodbye. Bye.